Welcome to the Castles of Cork, a journey through Ireland's history. In this six-part series, we delve into the enchanting world of Cork's castles, each episode revealing the grandeur and mystery of these formidable strongholds. From towering fortresses to secluded treasures cradled in stunning landscapes, we explore the rich tapestry of history that these castles embody. Join us as we traverse through tales of medieval warfare, royal conspiracy, and the architectural splendor that defines them. Prepare to be captivated by the breathtaking vistas and compelling stories of power and prestige. So, gather your sense of adventure and come along on this unforgettable exploration of Cork's majestic castles. This majestic headland, with its cliffs carved by the sea, juts dramatically into the azure depths. We have arrived at the old head of Kinsale. This peninsula has been in use as a promontory fort since pre-Christian times. In the distance behind, a signal tower dating from 1805, an era filled with tension and trepidation. It stood as Ireland braced for potential invasion, with the shores on high alert for the dreaded approach of French naval forces. There has been a castle on the old head of Kinsale as far back as the 3rd century, built by Irish chieftain Cromwell. The structure here today dates from later, around 1223. In the golden summers of yesteryear, my grandfather, Jeremiah, would journey to the rocks in front of the lighthouse. Armed with his trusty rod and a heart full of hope, he spent the blissful afternoons casting into the shimmering waters. After hours spent in the peaceful solitude, he'd pack up his gear and make his way down to the speckled door. With a spark of mischief in his eyes, he'd request a pint of Guinness, the rich, dark ale, a celebratory nod to the day's humble pleasures. The lighthouse bore witness to a pivotal day that saw the United States hasten its entry into World War I. Captain Turner of the RMS Lusitania was intent on bringing the ship closer to obtain a bearing using the old head of Kinsale. This countermanded the orders to stay at least 20 nautical miles off the coast due to suspected submarine activity. It was a fatal error in judgment. A German U-boat, half a mile off the coast of the old head, put a torpedo through her hull. During the winter of 1601, amidst the pivotal Battle of Kinsale, Ringrone Castle stood as a crucial stronghold. As part of the 9 Years' War, Spanish forces arriving to supply Irish chieftains against the English used Ringrone Castle to secure their landing and supply routes. Recognizing its strategic importance, English forces led by Lord Mountjoy moved to besiege the castle. Intense fighting ensued as the English employed artillery bombardments to breach the castle's defences. Their successful capture of Ringrone Castle tightened the siege around Kinsale, ultimately leading to the fall of the combined Irish and Spanish forces in January 1602. The ruin, perhaps an unofficial monument, a tribute to the Gaelic order at the site of one of Ireland's most defining historical battles. Castle Bernard, located west of Bandon, is a site rich with history and shrouded in tragedy. Originally a medieval fortress belonging to the O'Mahony family, it was renamed in 1715 after being acquired by the Bernard family. In its heyday, Castle Bernard was a symbol of opulence and grandeur. The mansion boasted a beautiful grand staircase adorned with intricate woodwork and rich tapestries. In the early 20th century, Castle Bernard was home to the 4th Earl of Bandon, James Francis Bernard, and his wife. The couple frequently hosted lavish parties, filling the halls with music and laughter, while guests mingled on the terrace sipping fine wines and enjoying panoramic views of the beautiful landscaped gardens. However, on the 21st of June 1921, their idyllic life was violently interrupted when the IRA stormed the castle with the intent to kidnap the Earl. The Earl and his staff took refuge in the cellars, hoping to evade capture. Despite their preparations, the IRA, unable to find them, set the castle ablaze. The inferno roared through the woodwork as the Earl and his companions were forced from their hiding place, the once magnificent mansion imploding around them. Upon exiting, they were captured by the IRA, and the Earl was held captive for 3 harrowing weeks. Upon the Earl's death, Percy Bernard, his first cousin twice removed, succeeded him. The inheritance gifted him the castle deeds, but without the wealth to rebuild it, the castle lay in ruin. Percy Bernard died in 1979 at the Bon Secours Hospital. As he had no son, the earldom became extinct. On the banks of the River Blackwater, where lush green pastures stretch as far as the eye can see, Mallow is now embracing a vibrant future. The riverbanks, adorned with verdant fields and blooming wildflowers, serve as a backdrop for a community reinvigorated by new developments and initiatives. Mallow Castle Dunmanus is set in 88 acres of newly accessible woodland and parks, with the castle itself dating back to 1580. It had been the home of the Jepson family for over 400 years, a lineage marked by both prominence and controversy. Sir John Jepson, a notable figure in the family's history, served in the English army during its campaigns in Ireland. His military service and loyalty to the crown made him wealthy but also deeply unpopular with the local Irish population, who viewed him as an agent of English oppression. Despite his wealth, Jepson faced many personal and social challenges, among them an intense fear of a Catholic conspiracy to assassinate the royal family. Jepson's obsession with this supposed threat alienated his friends, who saw his beliefs as a dangerous obsession. Secret passageways were constructed as he fortified Mallow Castle, convinced that he and his family were the targets of Catholic assassins. Jepson died in Mallow in May 1638. He was not assassinated. His family continued to live in the village of Mallow until the last descendants left in 1984. Enshrouded in a mystical veil of fog, the enchanting Ballinacarriga Castle perches solemnly between the towns of Balneen and Dunmanway. Known affectionately in Gaelic tongue as Ballinacarrick, translating to the mouth of the rock, the castle stands as a portal to Ireland's storied past. Within its venerable walls, steeped in religious lore, Ballinacarriga Castle once embraced the sacred role of sanctuary, hosting congregations under its sombre arches centuries ago. It was amidst this brooding and atmospheric landscape that the influential Hurley family erected this fortress in 1585, overseeing the shadowy expanses near the Bandon River. Today, the Hurley legacy endures through Margaret Hurley, a descendant of the original masons and a local historian who continues to weave the historical threads of this mystical place. This architectural jewel serves as a vivid reminder of the region's medieval grandeur. In a mist-shrouded vale, 18 kilometers west, stands the stoic ruins of Castle Donovan.
Beyond the vast sea, there may I lie.
It was in 1834, Philip Dixon Hardy published an account of his journey to the castle, where he notes, "It is hard to conceive of anything more wild, more desolate, more lonely than this savage vale." Constructed around 1560 by Donal O'Donovan, this formidable tower house served as the stronghold of the O'Donovan clan and symbolised a protective barrier at the northern frontier of their lands. A fateful clash in 1649, when the relentless forces of Oliver Cromwell unleashed their wrath, saw cannon fire render the ancient walls asunder, reducing this once grand edifice to a haunting hollowed relic. It's a beautiful summer's day in Bantry Bay, perfect for the short ferry ride over to Whiddy Island. No sooner do we arrive, however, and a storm is rolling in. The quintessential Irish weather strikes again. We're headed towards the northeastern shore of the island, where in the distance, a first glimpse of what little remains of O Sullivan Bear Castle. Not much is left of the castle. It suffered from a Cromwellian affliction and was ultimately finished off in 1920 by a ferocious storm. The castle is closely tied to the rise of the O'Sullivan clan. It was built during the reign of Henry VI and was used to assert the O'Sullivan Bears clan's control over the vital maritime trade routes around Bantry Bay. It has the notable exception of being one of few castles located off the Irish mainland. Leaving the coast behind us now, we head north, where lush green pastures roll as far as the eyes can see. The Fermoy Viaduct, part of the Great Southern and Western Railway, linked Killarney to Dungarvan and is a visible reminder of an era when towns and villages across Ireland were intricately connected by an expansive railway network. The viaduct, a familiar sight while on the motorway, sits next to an equally intriguing sight, which is hidden from view by the dense trees, that of Roche's Castle. Local folklore tells of a vast treasure of gold hidden within its grounds. Despite previous speculative digs, the gold, possibly a hoard of accumulated wealth from the Roche's family's influential past, remains untouched to this day. The castle itself is perched 70 feet above the River Blackwater, with one side having been blown up by Cromwell's forces, leaving it partially in ruin. Despite the passage of the centuries, the allure of hidden gold continues to draw treasure seekers to this storied fortress. The disused viaduct will soon see new life as it's put back to use as part of a greenway connecting Dungarvan and Fermoy, the second best use of this former railway. Nestled on a small island in the heart of the River Lee, Carrigadrohid Castle, built in the 15th century by Cormac McCarthy, stands as a testament to medieval engineering. The castle's strategic position in the middle of the river allowed it to control passage and collect tolls. However, its prominence also made it a target during the Cromwellian conquests of the mid-17th century. In May 1650, following the Battle of Macroom, the castle witnessed one of its darkest days. The parliamentary forces led by Roger Boyle laid siege to the castle. During this brutal encounter, Bodus McGeegan, Bishop of Ross, was captured. Despite being offered his life in exchange for convincing the garrison to surrender, he urged them to hold their ground. His defiance led to his tragic execution, hanged by the reins of his own horse outside the castle walls. The siege ended with a cunning ruse by Cromwell's forces. Large tree trunks were fashioned to look like formidable cannons and positioned as if to demolish the castle, tricking the garrison into surrendering. The castle fell, leading to the disposition of the McCarthys, and eventually passed into the hands of the Bowen family. Today, Carrigadrohid Castle, though partially in ruin, remains a striking relic, preserved by local conservation efforts. Its story is a poignant reminder of Ireland's rich and often violent history. Heading north now, past Rathcormac to the village of Castle Lyons in the barony of Barrymore. This village, with its well-preserved historical features, is abundant with landmarks that tell the tale of its rich past. Castle Lyons retains a sense of timelessness. Here, at the heart of the historic village, stands Castle Lyons Friary, founded in 1307 by John de Barry. Despite centuries of resilience, only remnants from the 15th and 16th centuries prevail, echoing the friary's storied past of dissolution and rebirth. The surviving structures are characterized by Gothic architectural features, such as pointed arches, ribbed vaults, and intricate stone carvings. Nearby, a solemn graveyard cradles the Barrymore Mausoleum, erected in 1747. The mausoleum, one of the most notable in Ireland, reflects the grandeur and influence of the family, who played a significant role in Irish history. Not far from the Barrymore Mausoleum is the smaller yet equally poignant Purd family mausoleum. In exploring this graveyard, one can uncover a microcosm of Irish history, learning about the lives, achievements, and sometimes the tragedies of those buried here. Overlooking these memorials, the ruins of Barrymore Castle dominate the landscape. Once a majestic seat of power, the castle witnessed numerous battles before succumbing to a disastrous fire in 1771 during repairs. Today, its ruins offer a ghostly glimpse into its grand past, surrounded once by vibrant gardens and a vast deer park, evoking visions of its former glory. Together, these landmarks of castle lines not only encapsulate the rich history of a bygone era, but also invite the curious to uncover the layers of stories etched into their very stones. We make one last trip west now, to a tranquil day in Roaring Water Bay. But let's travel back to the swashbuckling 16th century, where these waters were swarming with pirates. It was in Ringrone Castle that William Grant stood trapped, the crackling flames quickly spreading up the walls. For context, it was much taller then, compared to its truncated 2 today. But how did we end up here? West Cork was a haven for pirates, with all these waters teeming with ships. The O'Driscoll clan stood as one of the foremost pirate families in Ireland, dominating the southwest coastline from Kinsale to Kenmare. They ran an effective protection racket through taxiing ships on their way to Waterford that enriched their coffers with exotic metals, fabrics, and spices. Those who resisted saw their booty plundered. It all became too much for the merchants of Waterford, culminating in a daring raid led by William Grant. Under the cover of night, Grant and his comrades launched a surprise attack, devastating the pirate fleet and setting fire to their galleys. Grant, acting alone, stormed into Ringrone Castle just as it was set ablaze by his comrades. Beads of sweat trickled down William Grant's face as the raging inferno roared around him, flames licking closer with every passing second. The air grew thick with smoke. Just as the fire seemed poised to claim him, a quick-thinking bowman among his comrades sprang into action. With precision, he shot a thread-tied arrow over the rampart. Grant's fingers managed to grasp the thread and pull up the stronger rope attached. He tied it securely, and as the heat and smoke became almost unbearable, threw himself over the side of the castle and abseiled down to safety. In the centuries that followed, the castle changed hands several times, with the 3 upper floors savaged to provide building materials for a nearby mansion. The O'Driscoll's reign of terror was brought to a fiery end, and the merchants of Waterford could finally breathe a sigh of relief. If you enjoyed the show, you might consider subscribing to be notified about future video releases.